Good evening, and welcome to the KrabbeConnect A Million Dreams Gala. I'm James Detmar, and I am honored to serve as your MC for the evening. Of course, our original intent was for all of us to gather together in person to celebrate our advances, to raise awareness of continuing needs, and to raise the critical funds that allows KrabbeConnect to fulfill its mission, to be the source of comprehensive information and access to resources for patients with Krabbe disease. But due to the continuing ravages of COVID-19, safety and common sense rule the day. And tonight, your computer screen becomes your ballroom and your kitchen becomes your dance floor. But know this, even though we are separated from one another, we are still connected by our hearts and our dreams. And while we recognize the challenges that lie ahead, we commit to rising up to meet those challenges, rising up to expand the Krabbe community, and rising up together to envision a day in which each patient receives early diagnosis, has access to state-of-the-art care, and lives a life free of Krabbe disease. Simply put, now is the time to rise up. And here to inspire us to do just that, please welcome Jen Adams and Liz Lyons.
You're broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find the fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out and move mountains. So we gon' walk it out and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, high like the waves. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. When the silence isn't quiet and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe, I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet and move mountains and move mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. All we need is hope. And for that we have each other. And for that we have each other. And we will rise, we'll rise, oh, we will rise. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up in spite of the ache. I'll rise 1,000 times again. And times again. For you, for you, for you, for you, for you. And for that we have each other.
Thank you so much, Liz Lyons and Jen Adams on piano for that inspirational opening song. Good evening and welcome to the 2021 Gala to help hashtag Cure Krabbe. I'm Stacy Pike Langenfeld, president and co-founder of KrabbeConnect. We were optimistic that we would be mingling in person, hugging one another, and meeting many of the beautiful families impacted by Krabbe disease. Yet the rising concerns over COVID with our immune-compromised community left our organization feeling apprehensive. So here we are, you at home and us in the studio, but that doesn't mean we can't rise up. Tonight, let's fill our hearts with joy, thank our sponsors for their commitment to our work, and let's show our immense gratitude for the companies working to bring new therapies to the bedside of patients. Right, Anne?
That's right, friends. Many of you know me. I am Anne Regari, Vice President and co-founder of KrabbeConnect. I am so proud to be with you tonight, celebrating safely in the comfort of my surroundings here in Florida.
I certainly do miss having you here in person with me, Anne. I'm glad you could be with us tonight through the magic of technology.
I look forward to joining you in person, Stacy, at our gala in 2022. This past year, we've witnessed the strength and perseverance of our community, many who have fought COVID along with Krabbe disease. I'd like to give a shout out to Miss Lily, who's still on the mend from COVID. I am also proud to be standing alongside Stacy and each of you who have worked so hard over this past year, and especially to those impacted by Krabbe disease.
Krabbe disease is a devastating neurological condition where an individual has a mutation on their 14th chromosome, causing the deficiency of a protein called galactocerebrosidase, or shortened for GALC.
Oh yes, GALC. I and so many others wish it was easy to fix the deficiency of this important protein. Unfortunately, it's tricky to treat this disease. The deficiency of GALC affects the production of myelin, a necessary coating around the nerves allowing proper signals to reach different parts of the body. Individuals with this disease experience a long and cumbersome list of problems. Some of these are movement, difficulty in eating, seizures, and so much more. An easy way to think about this disease is to envision an electrical cord that has insulation around it, helping the wires to conduct electrical current. If the insulation is damaged, the wires cannot transmit electricity. This is a similar concept with our nerves. Insufficient myelin creates troublesome messages to the organs and muscles of Krabbe-affected patients.
That is why we are here tonight, continuing the fight to hashtag Cure Krabbe. Krabbe families need new therapies to improve their quality of life. New momentum is happening. Forge Biologics is enrolling patients in their clinical trial, which works to improve Krabbe disease by way of transplant and gene therapy. Passage Bio and Neurogen will also be enrolling patients in their clinical trial soon as well. Yet a new treatment goes through 4 phases. The clinical trial journey from initial discovery to the marketplace can take on average for 6 to 7 years to complete. As our opening song by Andra Day states, our community feels broken down and tired, living a life on a merry-go-round with Krabbe disease. Some days they can't find the fight in them, but KrabbeConnect sees it, and I know each of you watching do also. So let's keep working, move mountains, and be the support these patients need and families need.
Wow, that's right, Stacy. I'm feeling more inspired. How about all of you? I have an ask of our audience. Can you rise up to the occasion tonight and help us reach our goal of $100,000? I know it seems like a lot, but we've added an element of fun. For every $100 you donate tonight, your name will be entered to win a mini Apple iPad. All donations and bidding can be done through ClickBid. Just be sure to enter your credit card information first. Now let's rise to the challenge. Raise $100,000 tonight to help us reach a day in which each patient receives an early diagnosis, has access to state-of-the-art care, and lives a life free of Krabbe disease.
Thanks so much for joining us, Ann. I would like to welcome the Many family. Thanks for being here, you guys, tonight. Really appreciate it. Can you introduce yourselves and talk a little bit about Belle's first few years with Krabbe disease?
I'll start. I'm Eric, her father.
I'm Carrie. Belle was diagnosed with Krabbe disease when she was 15 months old. She grew, typical milestones, and then when she was about 15 months old, she started having difficulty walking and difficulty with her balance. So it was right after the 4th of July when she was diagnosed. And then at 17 months, she had her transplant here at the University of Minnesota. We were in the hospital for about a little under 30 days, and then she went home, and then we continued to see regression until about Christmas. So she went home in September, and then finally about Christmas, she started to eat again, movement started to come back, those kind of things. At about 3, she started school. Yay. We did early childhood. She started that. And school a couple days a week in her little stroller. And then when she was 5, she got her first wheelchair. And that day, that started Belle, her journey of being mischievous again, because now she had a little independence to her. So,
how would you say, Eric, is her journey through the transplant? Was it pretty easy, or did that have a lot of ups and downs to it? Some families talk about being in the hospital a lot or having to go back a lot because they have complications.
Yeah, so once we were there at the University of Minnesota, we were there pretty much for the 30 days. Carrie and I would switch every other evening, staying with her, and kind of give each other a brief report on how the day went and what to anticipate, because we weren't always there with the providers in the daytime in the morning to hear what was going on. And so, otherwise, I think we only had one phone at the time, too. So we didn't really have cell phones where we were communicating like we do nowadays.
What was it like when she was first diagnosed for you guys?
When she first started losing some of those milestones, we went to her pediatrician and I brought her in and explained some of the things that was going on, and she immediately had said, we're gonna see a neurologist. They thought she had a tumor.
Okay.
And so we made an appointment. She actually, our pediatrician, made an appointment with the neurologist, and then we had an MRI almost right away. After the MRI, that was at a different hospital, when we were there, it was just kind of a go in, get home.
Sure.
The neurologist was there, and we got just kind of a quick little brief report that there had been a change in the white matter. When we did return for the final outcome and found out that it was Krabbe, we had already done our own research into the fact that there was a possibility to do transplant. We didn't know at the time what that looked like, but we were able to at least kind of guide that scenario. At the time, the physician we were dealing with, he told us to go home, enjoy her. You'll be lucky if she lives to be 3. And he didn't give us an option of transplant. So we were fortunate that we had that in our background, because being 18 years ago, that wasn't such a common thing. And so then our time from diagnosis to transplant was relatively quick. Isabel had a feeding tube until Christmas time, and then at Christmas time, she transitioned back over to oral, and now, you're a foodie.
Yeah.
What's your favorite foods? Ribs.
Oh, ribs.
Mexican food. Chinese food.
Chinese food.
Mom's popovers with yum yum butter.
Oh, I need to try those, Belle.
So, yeah.
Oh my goodness,
Belle's
that
our
sounds
foodie.
amazing. What can you tell our audience about what's a day-to-day like for Belle, and how is her health?
Her physical aspect, it's challenging. That has been where the majority of the disease has affected her.
Okay.
Has been with the physical piece of it. She does therapy every week with a therapist, and then we also do, daily stretching.
Sure. Tell us a little bit more about some of the things that you've had to do to help keep her healthy.
Yeah, so with her spasticity or her tightness with her muscles and tendons and that, it's kind of gave her scoliosis and kyphosis of the spine. So she had a large spinal fusion at Gillette. And the same provider also did hip osteotomies.
Okay.
Because her hips had not dysplasia, but just kind of they were dislocating, and so
They weren't staying within the joint because the muscle
Correct.
Is not
correct.
Have enough strength to keep it in.
Correct, and then also, at an early age when you're in a wheelchair and things, and you're not standing or moving and doing those things to keep your hip in its normal place. I think that's part of the problem as well. So, and then as she had the first osteotomy, she needed a second one in the same hip because it corrected it, but not enough. And so, 3 big surgeries.
What are you up to these days, Belle, and what keeps you busy?
I'm thinking
Creative writing.
Yeah.
To try to become an author. So Belle's a sophomore in college this year. She was on the dean's list last year, got a 4.0. I just have to have that long moment to say that.
Of course. Well, we truly thank the Many family for sharing their time with us. KrabbeConnect was formed to help families such as the Menys to help ease the burden of Krabbe disease. And someone who is on the forefront of research for Krabbe disease is Dr. Allison Bradbury.
So I've been working on developing gene therapy for Krabbe for about 7 years now. And during my postdoctoral fellowship at University of Pennsylvania, we worked on 3 different approaches of gene therapy for Krabbe disease. So we use what we call an adeno-associated virus, or AAV, as a delivery vehicle to bring in a healthy copy of a gene that's mutated in a various disease. So for Krabbe disease, the gene is GALC. When there's a mutation in the GALC gene, there's a deficiency of galactocerebrosidase, or the GALC enzyme. When there's a deficiency of GALC, the cytotoxic substrate called psychosine accumulates in oligodendrocytes and Schwann cells and results in severe demyelination of the central and peripheral nervous system. So we really had a challenge of how to target both the central and peripheral nervous system with gene therapy. So we used an AAV9 gene therapy approach, and we delivered this gene therapy by intrathecal injection, which is directly targeting the cerebrospinal fluid, or the CSF. And what we were able to achieve is actually normal levels of GALC enzyme in both the central nervous system, so the brain and spinal cord, as well as the peripheral nervous system. When we were able to achieve the normalization of Gala-C, we were able to attenuate a lot of the disease manifestations of Krabbe, and we now have animals that are alive over 3.5 years, which is 12 times that of untreated animals in an ongoing study. So we're really excited about the success of our intrathecal AAV9 approach. We also evaluated hematopoietic stem cell transplantation combined with an intravenous AAVrh10 gene therapy, and we also had great success with those preclinical studies. And I think we're at a really exciting time because finally, for the first time, in history, there are going to be clinical trials for Krabbe disease this year. And this is really built on the work of, so many people over so many decades. Krabbe disease was actually discovered over 100 years ago. So to think that it's taken 100 years from really describing a disease to characterizing the disease and then coming up with a therapy, that's a really long road to get to where we are today. So I think this is, really a moment to celebrate, but also to look back on all the work that has gone into discovering the genetic defect of Krabbe, and then also how does the protein function that results in this disease, and how can we come up with therapies to really try to amend the protein and genetic defects that result in Krabbe disease. So we need to continue to research improved methods of targeting, dosing, delivery, and we also need to look at the different immune responses to the vector, how long this gene therapy is gonna last. We don't know when we treat a kid if this is gonna last for 1 year, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. So we really have to keep working on this. Just because we've reached the clinic doesn't mean this is going to be curative. So we really need to make sure that we're continuing to do the research to make sure that the best gene therapy for Krabbe disease is developed. The road to get to the clinic is really long. So from the conceptualizing of a therapy that you want to develop, and then obtaining the funding, testing that therapy, and then coming up with the results that you're trying to translate to what's called investigational new drug application with the FDA. Then once you get that drug into the clinic, you really want to see first safety and then establish efficacy in the patient population. So my hope for Krabbe disease is that these clinical trials they're safe and they're efficacious, and that we are able to start screening Krabbe babies in every state, so that once a baby is born with Krabbe disease, they can receive this gene therapy in the first weeks of life when we know it's going to be the most beneficial, and really transform their outcome by targeting both the central and the peripheral nervous system and giving them a much better quality of life.
Wow. 2 words that leapt from Dr. Bradbury's lips to the Krabbe community's ears: clinical trials. And with those trials, the hope for an applied gene therapy in the first weeks of a newborn's life. That is absolutely incredible. I mean, if I had an adult beverage right now, I would let it rise up and toast the efforts of Dr. Bradbury and the team at Abigail Wexner Research Institute. Something else that Dr. Bradbury said leapt to my ears. How many of you were aware that Krabbe disease was first discovered over 100 years ago? Yes or no? Show of hands. Oh, right. You can't see me. I can't see you. But what makes me think is that we should conduct a little clinical trial of our own, a Krabbe trivia trial. Let's do it. Come on, here we go. I'm going to ask you a few Krabbe-centric trivia questions, and you just ponder, see if you know the answer. You're on the honor system. We won't know if you did or didn't, but let's play, okay? All right, here we go. Question number 1. Which one of the following describes Krabbe disease? A treatable condition with non-life-threatening side effects. B, a rare disease that makes patients crabby. C, a rare inheritable neurological disease that affects the healthy production of myelin. Or D, all of the above. Take a second to consider your answer. That's long enough. All right, I'm not sure if you're right or wrong, but I know somebody who does. Somebody who's on the dean's list and had a 4.0. So I'm going to find out right now what the correct answer is. Bell Manny, what is the correct answer? Yes, that is right. Correct. The answer is indeed C. Krabbe disease is a rare inheritable neurological disease that affects the healthy production of myelin. Okay, moving on to question number 2. This is a true or false. Krabbe disease is only diagnosed in patients under the age of 1. True or false? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? I want to know what Belle thinks. Belle, what's the correct answer? True or false? Yes, that is correct. The answer is false. Diagnosis of late onset Krabbe disease can happen well into adulthood. Okay, moving on to question number 3. Patients who undergo a life-saving transplant fall into which category? A transplant stabilizes Krabbe disease for many years, providing good quality of life, yet, since transplant does not eradicate the disease, patients do experience disease progress at some point in their life. B, patients are cured of Krabbe disease and have a normal lifespan. Or C, none of the above. All right, got your answer? Let's go to Belle and find out what the right answer is. Belle? Yes, thank you so much, Belle. The answer is A. While a transplant is not a cure, it can help stabilize and enhance one's quality of life. Great. And now just checking in. How are you doing at home? We've had 3 questions. If you're 3-0, you know, you're doing well, but we've got time for one more question. One more. With that in mind, here's our 4th and final question. Here we go. Patients and families impacted by Krabbe disease agree to the following statement. A, are happy with transplant to improve the overall quality of life of their loved one impacted by Krabbe disease. B, remain optimistic that more therapies will be offered to those newly diagnosed with Krabbe disease and those already transplanted. C, are in awe of their Krabbe disease loved one's strength, perseverance, and ability to communicate. Or D, all of the above. All of the above? What is it, A, B, C, D? Belle, what is the answer? Yes, it is D, all of the above. Patients and families are happy with transplant to improve the overall quality of life of their loved one impacted by Krabbe disease. They also remain optimistic that more therapies will be offered to those newly diagnosed with Krabbe disease and those already transplanted. And they are in absolute awe of their Krabbe disease loved one's strength, perseverance, and ability to communicate. Wow, thank you so much, Belle, and thanks to you at home for playing along. You know, I trust we all learned something. And the more we know, the more we can share. And the more we can share, the more we can help. In just a moment, Sarah Jean Knox will be joining us to show us how the financial gifts that you share this evening specifically help patients and families as they face the uncertain future of dealing with Krabbe disease. Now, to make a donation, first off, if your screen is maximized, if you minimize it because you don't see the donate button, you minimize it, it's going to be right there, bottom left of your screen. There's one that says donate. You can hit that as many times as you want. And next to it is one that says live. If you hit that, you'll get a list of all the levels of giving that are available to you tonight. But first, for foster parents Mike and Stacy Murphy, the Krabbe learning curve was steep, but they were undaunted and the perfect match for Jasper, who hates red sauce, loves to throw the dog food into the dog's water bowl, and is living his best life.
You ready to get him? Of course. All right, here we go. Oh boy, he's gonna be fussy. I am Stacy Murphy.
I am Mike Murphy.
And we are the parents of Jasper Murphy. In 2018, Mike and I had just became licensed medically fragile foster parents and had gotten a few calls here and there for placements. One day we got the call for Jasper. They told me like 3 sentences. He has Krabbe's disease. He's had a transplant and he just finished a round of chemo, and that's all we know. Are you interested? So we said yes, and went down the following week to Nationwide Children's Hospital and did 7 days of continuous care for him. So I Googled it, and we didn't find much information. Everything that I read in depth was too hard for me to understand. Sure. And then the things that I could understand was that he wasn't gonna live past 2, and that was something scary. The first initial kind of meeting I had with him, I walked in this hospital room by myself. No one was, no doctors, no nurses. It was, I think it was a Monday at like 7 p.m. So the nursing staff had changed, was changing shifts. And so I walked in this room and I FaceTime Mike, and Mike's like, "What's he like?" And I'm like, "Well, I've made noise and I've turned on lights, and this kid's not moving."
Super tiny, super fragile.
This is a rare disease, very rare disease. It's still evolving, people are learning. We have a background at Nationwide Children, so I worked there for many years, and then of course Mike's been there a long time. And then our oldest son has been getting treatment with NCH for 15 years. I think we were good people to take Jasper on because we have experience with navigating that healthcare system. Now, have we ever dealt with BMT or oncology? No, never. But we know the social workers, we know the avenues to call, we know how to get a hold of patient relations. We needed quite a few of those people.
One of the therapists coming in and realizing it was you.
Because
she started crying, saying he's got a chance.
When we walked in that hospital, or me that first time, the transplant was done. The chemo was done. We were just dealing with the aftermath of all of this and not even understanding what that looked like.
I mean, he was in and out of the hospital a lot.
He was admitted and discharged 4 times, alone when they're inpatient, and our foster kids are no different. And so typically we would do week on, week off. I would stay a week at the hospital, and Mike would stay a week. Mike works at the hospital, so basically when it was his week.
I lived there.
Yeah.
Took a shower in the room.
And then he'd go downstairs and clock in. I would get Caleb and Grayson up and ready and out the door for the bus. And then I would run down to Children's. We would meet in the hallway. Typically, I would bring in his coffee and we would exchange highs, and I'd give him his coffee and he'd go downstairs to clock in, and I'd sit with Jasper the rest of the day. As soon as he would get off of work, he'd come back upstairs and I'd come home and be with the boys and do dinner and baths and homework, whatever. I think the biggest challenge for us was we were told we weren't allowed to go anywhere. So he had no immune system. Him being transplanted, I think it was 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and the chemo had been started, and by 9 weeks he had been transplanted and chemo done. Was it a rough road? Yes. Did he have some nasty, nasty effects from that? Absolutely. But as you can tell from spending some time with us, this kid's living his best life, and he doesn't know that there's anything better. People say to us often, "Are you so sad he's in a wheelchair?" No, he can live a perfectly fine and productive life in a wheelchair. We can accommodate him in a wheelchair, and he doesn't know that your legs are different. So he's happy and he has the best quality of life. It's funny because I post all these pictures and put all these little, Jasper loves the water, and he's so happy. He's so independent. Yeah, this the Krabbe needs to be on newborn screens across the country. Why wouldn't it be? I don't understand. I mean, we can do so many things in the medical world and justify it. We can't justify this test to go on every newborn screen and give these kids a fighting chance, I mean, we dump so much money into so many areas of, in the medical world, and this is a blood test that's already working. There's a solution to help slow down the progression of the disease. This isn't a wasted test. It's not like, well, we'll find out and there's nothing we can do. No, there's some treatment options. So I don't understand why it's not done. And I think that we as a society, not adding it to the newborn screens, are really doing a disservice to our kids or the population that end up being diagnosed with Krabbe, because it's a death sentence and we're just saying, okay, we're okay with that.
He's very independent. That's what he wants and when he wants it. What he's brought to us, a lot of joy. He just started counting. He crawls anywhere he wants to go. He hangs out in his brother's room all day if you let him. He gets into stuff just like any mischievous little toddler. He has found a new game where he likes to throw the dog's food into the water bowl.
Yeah,
And
Mike gets so frustrated about it, and Jasper, don't, Jasper, stop. And I finally told Mike the other day, I was like, this is what toddlers do. Yeah. You know, I mean, so it's neat because he's age appropriate. The things that bring us comfort and joy and make me happy is, you know, he's eating a ton, this kid. He loves it. But he tells us when he doesn't. Like, we know he hates anything with red sauce. He loves French fries, you know. We have to be careful about the liquids because he does take thickened liquids, but you know, he'll snack on a milkshake here and there, and you know, and those are things that are like, because when he was little, he was so nauseated and sick and just didn't feel good, so he wouldn't eat anything. And I really thought we were gonna have this kid that was tube fed for the rest of his life. This tube is now a means of supplementing what he's not taking throughout the day, and that's huge.
Thank you so much, Stacy and Mike, for sharing Jasper's story with us. And I have to say that your positivity is so contagious. And I love the outlook that you have on Jasper's situation and his experience with Krabbe. And your story is so inspirational, and it really shows how important the early detection is. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. And for all of you who are watching at home, now is the time that we are going to come together to support the families who are living with the reality of raising a child with Krabbe disease. And I think we can all agree that a diagnosis like this is one of the scariest moments in a parent's life. And then when you add the rarity of Krabbe disease, it must also feel so lonely. And this is why providing support and resources for families raising a child with Krabbe is so important. So together we are going to rise up and rally around the patients and families dealing with Krabbe disease. And if you're watching on your device through our ClickBid platform, you will see the silent auction items below unless you did what Jim told you before. But so if you still see that, I want you to look for the little green button that says Give Live on the bottom left part of the video, left part of the screen. And by clicking on this, you will be able to bid and give in real time right now. Or you can text KrabbeConnect to 56651. So go ahead, hit that button, and we are going to go right in. I know so many of you have already started giving, but as we go into this, I want to remind you that your name is going to be put in a drawing for an iPad mini today as you give every $100 that you give. So if you give $100, you get put in as a drawing. If you give $1,000, that's 10 entries. And so keep that in mind as you're giving this evening. But it's my pleasure to announce that one of our generous donors has already committed $25,000 towards our efforts tonight. And so a special thank you to Paul Rosenau for your generosity this evening. And additionally, Stacy Pike Langenfeld is also starting us off with a donation of $5,000 tonight. And so, Stacy, I mean, we could thank you forever for everything that you do. And we just want to take a moment to thank you for your commitment to everything you've done here with KrabbeConnect. And so I see that so many of you are already starting to give. You're hitting that donate button down below. You'll see all of the amounts that you can give. And we're starting off at $5,000, which you saw that Stacy has led us off in that. Our leader at $2,500, Heather, thank you so much for your generosity. I'm seeing people giving right now. Megan, thank you. And Alan, thank you so much. Elizabeth, thank you. I see Stacy, thank you. And Jamie, thank you so much. All of you who have given today and are continuing to give. Dawn, thank you. Becky, thank you so much. And Doug, thank you so much. And you can continue to put those in. And remember, as you are giving right now, this is your choice to take a look at the families within our community who are suffering with Krabbe disease and they don't necessarily know where to turn. Your choice to give right now is saying, I see you and I may not have all the answers for you, but I want you to have those answers, because KrabbeConnect is going to be able to give them those answers and lead them where they need to go. More, oh my gosh, you guys are putting them in so fast here. I want to thank Joel. Thank you so much. Scott, I'm seeing you here. Thank you. Chester, thank you. Melissa, thank you so much. Angela, thank you. Katie, thank you. And Lisa, thank you to you. Those are continuing to populate in here for me. Elizabeth just went in here. Thank you so much. And your generosity is making such an impact. And I loved hearing the story Stacy and Mike shared about Jasper. You know, Jasper got put into this incredible home, this home of people who were used to the medical system and the specific hospital where he was receiving care. And they knew who to call and who to contact. But that's not the reality for every single person. Usually when you get a diagnosis like this, you feel scared and you don't know where to go. And you just are grasping for those answers. And so it is so important, the work that you're doing tonight, because you are here to support these families and help them get that early diagnosis and be able to advocate for themselves as they go forward through the resources at KrabbeConnect. Again, I'm going to thank here Marion and Susan. Thank you so much for your generosity. And I know you're still getting those in, and continue to put those through, because we will have this open all night long, but we also have a live auction for you. And so we're going to get started with that right now.
Sarah Jean, I just got to say thank you so much for being here and being such a wonderful guide, helping us navigate these paths and giving this evening. Speaking of giving, how are we doing? Are the things have come in? Have they come in since we last looked?
Yes, and I think I may be double thanking some of you here, folks, but okay, we're good? Okay, we got you in here. Thank you, all of you, so much for your generosity in the live auction and in the Fund a Need, and you can give all night long.
Yeah, and that's the ticket. So just keep your fingers near the buttons, and you know, want to say I came up a little short on one of those. I had somebody bidding for me, and I didn't win it.
I know.
And that's all. I was kidding. You know, I just want to say tonight wouldn't have been possible without the relentless support of our sponsors. And I'd like to take just a moment, if we can, to thank those sponsors who have stood by us every step of the way. First off, our DreamWorks sponsor, the Legacy of Angels Foundation. Thank you so much.
Our #CureKrabbe champion sponsors, Forge Biologics, Neurogene, and Passage Bio.
Absolutely. Our partner with us, night sponsor, UPMC, Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh.
And our Stronger Together advocate sponsors, Foster Groups, Meisinger Construction, and Partners for Krabbe Research.
Yeah. Well, you know what I think we should do? And we had so many people who gave.
Yes.
Who gave at the $100 and above level. And you know what those people are eligible for?
The iPad, the mini iPad.
Yeah.
So we have a drawing. Okay, I'm gonna go grab this.
Oh, wow, that came up quick. I would have probably read it, but she was waving it and I couldn't read the words on it.
No, they have it nice and small. Do you want to do the honors?
I want you to do the honors.
Okay.
You go right ahead. This is exciting, though.
I feel like we're at the Oscars.
Yeah, I know it.
And the winner is Katie Varner. Congratulations, Katie. You will be receiving information on that. Congratulations, you are the winner of the iPad mini. And again, thank you to all of you who gave and were then, of course, entered into the drawing tonight.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you for your support. It's just wonderful. You know, as we got to throw that, that's cute too. You know, as we wrap up our 2021 A Million Dreams Gala, I want to thank all of you who took the time to join us this evening. You are absolutely difference makers. Your generous spirit and tireless determination have such an impact on the Krabbe community, one that serves as an inspiration to us all. Thank you.
Absolutely, James. And thank you to all of you for your generous support tonight. Your choice to lift up the Krabbe community has been such an inspiration, but it doesn't have to stop. Right. You can choose to support KrabbeConnect anytime you want. And if you are inspired by the impact of our community tonight, please share our mission with your community, because raising awareness of this heartbreaking disease can make a difference in early detection, which we know can greatly improve the quality of life for patients diagnosed with Krabbe disease.
Yeah, that is so true. And of course, to our Krabbe heroes, we hear your voices loud and clear, telling us, rise up. Don't give up. It's safe to say we will never give up. We will always be here fighting for you.
And I will fight for you. I always do until my heart is black and blue. And I will stay with you. Make it to the other side like families do. I'll reach my hand out in the dark and wait for yours to interlock. I'll wait for you. I'll wait for you. 'Cause I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up, no, not yet. Even when I'm down to my last breath, even when they say there's nothing left. So don't give up on, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up, no, not me. Even when nobody else believes, I'm not going down that easily. So don't give up on me. And I will I'll hold on to you. No matter what this world will throw, can't shake me loose. I'll reach my hand out in the dark and wait for yours to interlock. I'll wait for you. I'll wait for you. 'Cause I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up, no, not me. Even if nobody else believes, I'm not going down that easily. So don't give up on, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up, no, not yet. Even if I'm down to my last breath, even if they say there's nothing left. So don't give up on me. And I will fight for you. I always do until my heart is black and blue.